Welcome to Yeshua Kids Garden.
Us. The main point is the government is responsible for budget allocation. What we now have to do is when we see something that is unjust, we stand for the right and we stand for what is acceptable in the country. Okay, so that's what I have to say. That is the statement I have to say. If there's any other thing that you'd like to say from what I have already said, I'd welcome that.
Okay, so Mr. Ayodele, do you have a response to that?
Yes, I do. For going in first, I'll say that I appreciate your statements, but we need to be realistic here. We need to understand that the people are not in the government, even though the government is the people. The government is a subset of the people.
So, hello and welcome to YKG Contest, and today we're here with our first ever debate, and the two contestants we have today are as follows: Mr. Ayodele Amole, and also we have Miss Victoria Mechi Michael. So, just before we get to the debate proper, I would ask you to kindly take a brief moment to introduce yourselves, just really quickly, just in 1 minute, quickly, please. So starting from Mr. Ayodele, please, can you kindly introduce yourself? Just tell us something brief about yourself, and then we move over to Miss Victory.
Okay, my name is Amole Ayodele, and I am streaming from Ibadan. I'm a business consultant and also a data analyst.
Okay, nice to meet you, Mr. Ayodele. So, Miss Victory, please, can you kindly introduce yourself in a like fashion?
Okay, I'm Miss Mechi Michael Victory. I'm streaming from Rivers State, and I am a resin artist and a nursing student at the University of Clifford, Abia State.
Okay, so thank you very much. You have been duly briefed concerning the rules of this program, so for the sake of time, we won't be stipulating those rules within the session itself. But one of the things I would like to mention is the rule on the winning. So, as I explained to you, I think I mentioned prior before we started, we're going to have the winnings will be based on votes, and the votes will take place in the comment section. Also, if there are any penalties within the program for non-respect of time or any of the rules which were being mentioned within the group which we posted, we will take notes of those points, and they will be deducted from your total points and your total votes. So to win, you need at least 20 votes, that is 20 comments, and also you would also have to have the majority. So on the third day, we will be issuing the prize, and then this will give us room to be able to calculate the total. Okay, so as we communicated to you earlier, the topic for today, which will be debated upon, is titled, "What should be the national priorities for Nigeria's 2025 budget, considering the flaws and public criticisms identified by economists?" Okay, so I would select any one of you to go to tackle the debate with your opening statement. So Who would like to go first, or would you like that I select?
The lady should go first, definitely. She's the lady. Yeah.
Okay, so he says the lady should go first. So, Victoria, are you ready? Would you like to go first?
There's no problem.
Okay.
Can start first.
All right, so let's have your opening statement, and for that, I'm just going to set the timer. You're going to have 4 minutes for your opening statement, okay? And I'm sure on your end, you should be able to view the timer on your end. So let me just set that quickly. And there we go. Okay. All right, your time starts now.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching. Today I'll be debating on the topic we've already heard about the national priorities for Nigerians 2025 budget, considering the and public criticisms that have been identified by economists. So before we start talking, we have to identify those flaws.
We had some reception issues from your end, so I'm just going to give you a bonus 30 seconds. If you can start again, just get straight to the point, all right?
Okay, so we're going to first be identifying those flaws and criticisms that have been identified by economists in concerns to Nigerians' budget allocation. So the first we have all noticed, even without the economists signifying, is the uncontrolled inflation in the economy, in the system. There's a weak currency and over-reliance on imports, or rather, because when we produce in the country, whatever that we produce cannot be used. We do not produce most of the goods that we're going to use in the country, so we see ourselves importing most of the things we use from outside. This is a very significant problem we've had. The high price of things in the country. That is not the only criticism that we've noted. Even security, when it comes to agriculture and even the health sector in the nation, we realize that all of these things have been a problem to us. Even food security, people are not sure of what they're going to be eating. They're not sure of how much they're going to be having for the next day. So now I am going to be talking about what the priority should be for the 2025 budget. The first priority I feel should be on the top list should be transparency and accountability from the governments. They should be transparent in their dealings, especially with the budget allocations. Whatever they're doing, there shouldn't be a budget padding where we have a certain amount of things to do and there's a particular amount of money they should be using for that cause, and they go ahead to add more money on top of what they should be using, whereas the extra money is not going into what they have to do, is going somewhere else. So this should be noted, accountability for whatever things they're going to be doing. Another is the education in the country. There's a decaying system of education in the country. We have a very high amount of people who do not have education, a very high amount of people who are not going to school. And then the next is security. We have always experienced a high rate of insecurity in the country. It affects every single sector of income. And whatever it is that is going on in the country, security highly affects it, whether it is education, whether it is agriculture, whether it is health, security highly affects it. So I think that the budget allocation should also go for security. Then the next we can talk of power and infrastructure. When there is no power to do anything, we realize that most of the things we've put into place will not go accordingly as we have planned. And there should also be healthcare. Healthcare system is also, healthcare sector is very important because without good health, we cannot do anything. So I've mentioned the sectors, the top priorities which the government should allocate their budget to. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you for that wonderful response. I'm just going to stop the timer at this point and give you an opportunity, Mr. Ayodele, for you to present your opening statements and your opening positions. All right, so the floor is yours, Mr. Amole.
Okay, good afternoon. Once again, my name is Ayodele And I'll say that the 2025 budget have been, the country presently is in a very sensitive position. And the 2025 budgets need to address those things that are making life difficult for the common man in the Nigerian state. Now, first thing I think the budget should prioritize is fixing the domestic refineries. They are overwhelmingly important. The ripple effect of we importing fuel and even becoming dependent on the private Dangote refinery would have very serious ripple effect on the country. Now, the federal government have to prioritize fixing the local refineries and also fixing the industry for refining fuel and gas in the whole country, because the ripple effect will mean bringing down the inflation. It will cut across a lot of industry, making life better for the common man, meaning that there will be direct competition between NNPC and the Dangote refinery, also allowing more players to come into the industry, because that will just open up the country and even beat down the price even more. Number two of my points would be debt sustainability and borrowing habits. The federal government must curb the borrowing habit and also be more disciplined in spending those loans they receive from foreign entities or private entities. We must make sure that is balanced, because if that is not balanced, there is no way we can cushion growth. Growth will never occur because we keep on getting in debt and not even satisfying the need for the loan in the first place. So I think for that reason, those 2 points are my first 2 valid points. Also, boosting the local production. I'm not talking about agriculture alone. I'm talking about also the manufacturing sector. The federal government budget must focus on the manufacturing costs of the country, coming from the food insecurity down to the things that make us refine and need our own raw materials. So we won't be needing to send those raw materials abroad. That way, we can tackle the fiat currencies inflation by using our raw materials and also encouraging the manufacturers in the country. Thereby, we can use that to cut to industry, reducing the food insecurity and also the manufacturing industry. My 4th point would be insecurity. Insecurity have discouraged a lot of production in the country. There is a very vast land in the whole country, and there are very little spaces where people can actually excel by going to farm or doing things that are worthwhile in their space. We need to restore the confidence of those that are willing to go into production, whether by assuring them with finances or finance, or by securing their homeland, making sure that nobody goes in there to destroy whatever thing they're trying to create. Now, the last point I would like to do, because these are stated priorities, it doesn't have to be too much, is creating the youth economy. The budget must harness the strong part of this nation, because Nigeria has a very large youth population. We need to harness that energy before those youths become
Time is up,
grown.
Mr.
Thank you.
Made. So apparently you lose 1 point for not respecting the time limit. So we're gonna take that into cognizance. Next, as thank you very much for your presentation. Next, we're going to go into the moderator question. So I have a few questions for you, which I would like for you to respond to, and I would like, as each speaker is making his statement or position known, that the other speaker takes note of counter arguments and propose a better solution based on what is being asked. So we have a total of 4 questions. Hopefully we'll be able to cover that. So for the first question, I would like to ask you, how should the 2025 budget address the issue of budget padding and corruption as highlighted by recent criticism? All right, so who would like to go first? And for this, I would give you a short time of 2 minutes. All right, who would like to go first? All right.
Would you like to rephrase the question again, please?
Of course, I'll take the question again. So, how should the 2025 budget address the issue of budget padding and corruption as highlighted by recent criticisms? All right, so I'm going to give you like 5 seconds to decide who wants to go first, and afterwards I'm going to make my choice. All right, so Miss Victory, the floor is yours. How would you respond to this question?
Okay, how to handle budget padding and corruption in the system. The first thing, like I've already said, I pointed out a very strong point, which was transparency and accountability. You know, these problems stem from the government not being transparent in their dealings and not being accountable. One of the few things or one of the major things we can do is to actively involve the EFCC and ICPC in investigating all of the budgets that they allocate, investigating the process by which they ensure that this budget is being implemented, including the civil service. All of the people who are involved in the implementation of whatever budgets that has been allocated should always make sure that whatever they have planned must be done. And we know that the government, as they are, not everyone would want to come out to say, okay, this is what I have done. There was a recent news of a woman who, the Ministry of, I think, Education or Health, I've forgotten the sector, she traveled to the UK. She had the Nigerians' money, what was supposed to be used for budget allocation. And it was when she got into bad health that she had come out to say, okay, I took Nigerians' money. So this can be prevented if there's transparency and accountability in the government. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Miss Victory, for that awesome response. Mr. Ayodele, do you have any statements on the question? So it's your turn now to respond. How would you respond?
Okay. Yes, I feel like this is the job of the National Orientation Agency, because we can see that the moral standard of the country is down. And we cannot just pinpoint that the government is corrupt. The whole country is corrupt. All to the fact that, not that I'm abusing the country, but the fact that there is so much poverty and people are keen to do things they would not do normally. So everywhere, everybody's looking for one way to reap more than they have earned. So the National Orientation Agency needs to apply some sort of content marketing so that we can translate to the generation that we are not glorifying people that are stealing money, and also so that the standard of the environment of the country will increase a bit, because without that, people now accept people with poor standards and even corrupt practices and celebrate them. When that stops, that's when we can look into the federal institutes. Because right now we still have EFCC, but with misguided statements and misguided mandates. If we have a better society, the society will frown on scams and frauds even before the office holders do. Thank you.
Hey, look, these days, where economy just they fail. Come with Sapa way, no fit explain. You get brand where they sell, we go pay. We go pay, go pay, go hey, pay. Look, info, Leon Finfo, follow me, go, may we get money. Make you call your amigos, free membership, sign up quick, and no they carry body. If you buy, if you sell for this website, no commission, no cost for this website. But cool sellers, we go give you good price. And if you know like I'm go the next guy. Hey, no middleman, we go try take your money to do your thing on a solo. If you find anything, if you sharply buy for any location, where you there, so my manana. Distress sales. My manana. Distress sales. Distress sales.net. Distress sales.net. Distress
everybody just they dance, they smile for here, man. Like say things they share for this website. Let me go check out this website, man.
All right, so thank you so much, Mr. Ayodele. The next question which I have for you is, just give me a second to set the time. All right, so the next question I have for you is, with a large portion of the budget going to debt servicing and recurrent expenditure, how can Nigeria balance fiscal responsibility with the need for growth? So that's the next question, and of course you have 2 minutes, and I think Mr. Ayodele, you should start with this one. So
please, can you take the question, please?
All right, so with a large portion of the budget going to debt servicing and recurrent expenditure, how can Nigeria balance fiscal responsibility with the need for growth?
Okay, thank you very much. We can see now that a large portion of our profit is going into debt servicing, and that is bad for any country that wants to move forward. But for me, we cannot stop paying our debts. We need to look inward now. This is the point where we harness the natural resources we have in the country. That is why I mentioned in the first instance that the federal government, have to encourage the manufacturing sector. It is very important to pilot the country forward. There is no two way about it. Nigeria is blessed with so much natural resources, and there is no way if we harness those skills, we will be eating a bird with two birds with one stone, by creating a workforce for manufacturing and also building new industries that will come from the manufacturing practices that have happened. So one way or the other, we need to encourage that in this country. That is one way forward we can do it. We have the workforce, we have the youth behind us, and we also have the natural resources. We only need the will from the government. We need the determination from the people, and also the encouragement from the private and the federal government. Thank you.
All right, so thank you very much. And of course, I would remind you to take note of your opponent's arguments, because we're going to go into an open argument after this phase. All right, so Miss Victory, I think it's your turn to respond to that question. And for the question, just for you to get clarity on that, I'm just going to take it again. So with a large portion of the budget going to debt servicing and recurrent expenditure, how can Nigeria balance fiscal responsibility with the need for growth? Your time starts now.
All right. I'm going to be talking mainly on debt servicing. As we already have heard from the news, we know that the government and those in charge of the economy, most of them have taken a lot of loans to take care of these various sectors that they have in their budget. They have to take care of a lot of things. So they go ahead to take loans. I want to visit the matter of loans. They go ahead to take these loans with very large interest and a shorter amount of time to pay off. So I'd advise that the government take concessional loans. These are loans that take longer periods of time to pay, and the interests are very low. That's the first thing to consider. We cannot stop paying our debt. But even as we pay our debt, I'd also advise that the government spend smartly on the resources or the recurrent expenditures that are not needed. Let's visit the part of electricity, power, where we can always use solar systems to power in a lot of things, instead of making use of the nuclear source, or using other forms of energy. And I would also advise that public-private partnerships can also help to improve the investments in the country, helping to reduce public debt. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And we're going to move on to the next question, of course, with the same timing. Next question I have for you both is, what specific sectoral allocations would you prioritize and why? All right, so Mr. Ayodele, this is for you, so you'll be responding first.
Okay. Like I said, I'm going to prioritize the oil and gas industry because optimizing the production of the country is very paramount. We are large, it is a very large country, and we don't have the technical know-hows for solar energy yet. Even though we need to put that on our foresight, but we need to first harness what we have, then we can now think of development later. Also, I'll look into agriculture. Back in the past, before the oil boom, Nigeria and most of the African countries rely solely on agriculture. We still have the arable land good enough to produce a lot of multiple kind of crops. We still have so much things we can do to make money. So I'll just prioritize agriculture, the refineries, and also security for those that will be doing the agriculture and for the general populace. Nobody invests in a war-torn environment or places where they cannot see the value for their money or their money goes to waste. So security, the oil sector, and also the agricultural sector. Also for access, we'll be looking at transportation. A lot of money has to go into transportation so we can enable the back and forth for businesses and development around the country for a large sum. For the last option for the priorities, I'll go for tech. Because of the youth population we have, we need to diversify into tech so that we can compete globally. So those 5 points are my integral points going forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your feedback. So we're going to have a final question. Miss Victoria, have you responded to that question? Not yet. Okay. All right. So I would like to have your take on that. Okay. So your time starts now.
Okay, so if I would be looking at the sectors which I think should take utmost priority, like I said when I pressed my first point, the first is security. Without security, all these sectors that we're saying the government should help us to allocate, so the government should focus on, none of them are going to work. Because even as you improve agriculture, there will be some people that will jeopardize that process. There will be some people that jeopardizes what we're doing in the farm. There are people that will jeopardize the funds that are being used. If you don't look at security and you look at education, healthcare, and other sectors, there are a lot of things that can go wrong. So I think that security, the budget allocation should go really well to security first. There are a lot of things going on in the country. People are losing their lives. People's businesses are going down just because we do not have enough security. So there should be enough security. And then the second goes to healthcare. You know, a lot of people go down with a lot of diseases. There is so much mortality and morbidity rates in the country. So people's health should be of top. You see that there is medical tourism. People are going outside to get treated. And those that do not have the money to go outside and get treated, what happens to them? They end up falling for the diseases or illness that they have. And then the next sector I think should take utmost importance should be agriculture before power and infrastructure. Why I think agriculture should take place is because agriculture is the main source of income in the country, because we have an abundance of a lot of agro-based places in Nigeria. And then power and infrastructure, because that helps us to run whatever things that we have to run. Thank you very much.
All right. So thank you for that. So for a final question, and before we go into the open argument phase, the next question is, given the low implementation rates of past budgets, what reforms are needed to ensure the 2025 budget is effectively executed? All right. And for this, Miss Victory, I would like for you to respond first.
Okay. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Of course. So let me just reset your timer. Okay. So the question is, given the low implementation rates of past budgets, what reforms are needed to ensure the 2025 budget is effectively executed?
All right. So I think the first thing that we should consider, the first reform that should be considered is adopting a zero-based budget, a zero-based kind of budget, where every single thing that is planned, every single thing that is allocated for should be followed through and through. There should be no two-sided work in the budget. If someone is allocating a particular percentage to this sector, it should be that percentage. No one should pad up budget. No one should allocate what is not. Everybody should follow the right procedures, those that are in charge. The next thing I think that would be good is timely budget passage and release. This is very important because most of the budgets that the government allocate for, most of them are not passed in on time. You see that someone is building road at the wrong time when you're supposed to be taking care of health. You're going into road construction and other things. There should be always timely budget passage and release. Another point I would like to buttress, a very, very important point, is that the funds should only be released when you have noticed that this milestone is driven. This thing that they have planned for is driven. If it is not going to benefit anyone in the country, if it is not going to help the economy to get better, then the funds should not be released. They should always only be released when whatever is going to be done will be time efficient and it will be beneficial to the country's economy. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Miss Victory. So, Mr. Mole, I have the same question for you. Would you like me to take it again?
No problem.
All right.
This for me, the first law that should be passed or policy is that the National Assembly must pass the budget in the year before the year of the budget. It is very important because most of the time we spend the budget is fast spent. The year is fast spent before passing the same year's budget. So at the end of the day, they now have to backdate a lot of things, and that is where the budget padding comes in place. That's the first thing. The second thing is we need to give capital punishments to those contractors that are taking federal and state, even local government projects that are public instituted. We need to put capital punishments for such people that mobilize and leave the contract half done or do things like that, so that people will understand that taking on federal contract is not just profit. There is a large rod at the back of it that will punish you if you don't do it. Then the third one is, I think the states and federal politicians need to highlight their successes after their time in office, because we just leave them, they leave office, people celebrate them without even showing what they have gone there to do. They need to find a way for them to tell their constituents what they have done for the past 4 years and what they've been able to achieve, how much was allocated and what they've been able to do. I think things like this would help to reduce nuisance from entering those offices, understanding that there's accountability at the end of the day, and also knowing that you can't just take government contracts without doing them. So I think these three policies would help in enhancing how budget padding and wastage are being curbed.
All right. Is that the end of your argument?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So as I told you, you should have respectively taken notes of your what they call it, your arguments, and I would like for this next phase will be an open dispute. Okay, so I would like for you to state areas where you do not disagree, where you disagree with your opponent, and of course your opponent, if you're being disagreed against, you try to defend that, and vice versa. So it's going to be open, and I expect that you must have noted some points, and I'm sure that some points you feel that your arguments are better, so I would like for you to justify that. And for this session, you have a total of 5 minutes, and before we come to the close of today's debate. All right, so the floor is open for whomever would like to commence.
The lady can go first. But yeah.
All right, it's open to you. Okay, so Victory, Mr. Yodele, Miss Victory, who would like to go first? It's really open.
Yeah, the lady should
I
go
think
first.
I think
Go ahead.
Okay, I should
I've
go
always
first.
been going
Okay.
first.
Okay, no problem. No problems. Okay. Yeah, at a point in your in your speech, you talked about the hold on. I'm trying to remember what you discussed then. Okay, I think you talked about the budget padding and how we can go about it. The last statement you make when you said that they need to come before the fiscal year. They need to. I didn't hear. Can you reiterate what you said at that point there?
Sorry, at which point are you talking about?
When you talked about the last question that you answered, when you talked about the policies that should be put in place to avoid those.
Oh, okay. I talked about establishing, timely budget passage and
Yes.
a realization, a release. It should be timely. Whatever budget that is being passed should be passed on time. You see that some people are doing things at the wrong time. The government is, allocating the budget or passing or implementing down the budget at the wrong time. A particular budget that's supposed to be done at another time. I also talked about the funds only being released when you signify that this milestone or this budget is driven and it's going to be beneficial to the economy or to the citizens and the country. I also talked about adopting a zero-based budget approach where whatever is being done, it is accounted for. No one is using or doubling whatever is supposed to be for a particular budget. You have this amount of money to use for this particular sector, and then you make the money double of what it is, just so you can have a profit out of what you're using to. This is where the budget.
Okay, so I think.
So how do you cope that?
Yeah, go ahead. So let's keep it short because you only have like 2 minutes. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I understand, but I just want to mention that for the second point, when you said that the timely when the government, at the end of the day, they disbursed money to all these politicians at the big inception of their tenure, trusting that the mandate that was given to them by the people, understanding that the people trust them, that is why it's been given to them. There is no way you can go and there's no setting where you will go and place your projects that it needs to be approved. That will bring a long list of red lines and challenges. Because if all the senators and the House of Rep members in the country try to bring their budget forward for people to see that they will be beneficial for the people, a lot of time will have been wasted and a lot of money will be wasted in that regard. That's just what I wanted to point out in that. So you can spot out my own too now. Thank you.
Would you like to respond to that quickly, Miss Victory? Or you have something
yes.
you spotted, or you would like to respond? So as you like. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll respond to what he said before I can talk about what I have seen from his statement. When you talk about a lot of time, a lot of money will be wasted if the House of Reps and those in charge of budget allocations bring forward the budgets that they have for the country. I'd say that is not a waste of time. Showcasing the budgets that they have for the country enables the people to see or to understand that this is what the government has in store for them. And that is why we are a Republican system. We say exactly what we want. And when we see that this is not what we want, the voices are raised up. And when I talk about the fund should only be released when you see that it is beneficial for the economy. Now, this comes in place. You talked about the manufacturers, you talked about those that were at the oil and gas system. There are a lot of projects that are going on. And a lot of help is needed from the government through several methods, through grants and the incentives. Most of these projects, if you look at it very closely, like you even said, that the rooting or the rotting is coming from us. It is not just the government, okay? Most of them is also coming from us because most of us are corrupted. You can still find a manufacturer who has his own interest at heart and brings forward a budget, brings forward something to be ruled of by the government or ruled in by the government, sorry.
You have
And
30
then
seconds.
part of what he's bringing in is not benefiting just him, but is benefiting a whole lot of other people by his side. So I'll say that they look very carefully. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you for your understanding. Miss Victory, I think it's your turn. I think if you have any counter arguments or any statements to say based on what Mr. Ayodele stated in his arguments. He's had his question. I think it's time for yours, and after that, we can call it a day.
All right. So sorry. I'm so sorry. I had a reaction inside the house. I'm really, really sorry about that. Sorry, can you hear me?
Okay, that's fine. So I will take that again. So if you have any counter arguments to what Mr. Ayodele stated, and then we can call it a day. So, and of course, Mr. Ayodele will give you an opportunity to defend his stance. All right, go ahead.
Okay. So one of the I don't really have a counter argument. I just really have a statement to say from what he has said. He said concerning the allocation of the budget, that there are a lot of discrepancies when it comes to us, that it's not just the government that is corrupted, but also us. So I would like to ask, are we, the people, the ones proposing the budget? Are we the ones allocating the budget, or the governments are the ones setting and allocating these budgets? If you're looking at this question, I mean, the answer is very, very clear. The government is responsible for the budget allocation. Where we come in is when we see an allocation that is not profitable for the economy, which is why I said there is no wastage of time, there is no wastage of resources in the government identifying what they have planned for their own country. Okay, so when that comes in, when that kind of situation comes up, you see that you even talked about the EFCC being corrupt, the ICC being corrupt, which is why I pinpointed and remember from my first statement that we should make sure that whatever person is in charge of the security system when it comes to looking at the proper budget allocation, the proper amount of budget allocation that should be used for the country, should just be the main people or the major people that are not going to be unaccountable for what they're doing. They should be transparent in their dealings. So when we find people that are not transparent in their dealings, what do we do as citizens of the country? We speak out. We say what is not right. And even when you said that there are still people that are corrupt, yes, there are people that are corrupt, but we still have those who are not corrupt in the system. We still also have those who are not corrupt as citizens that we are. But we have always seen on the news, on our everyday lives, that even when we say our minds, even when we speak out, most of the things we speak out are not always being followed. Most of the things that we identify that we do not like in the country, it still remains the same, and even at times gets worse. So what are we saying here? The main point is not just us. The main point is the government is responsible for budget allocation. What we now have to do is, when we see something that is unjust, we stand for the right and we stand for what is acceptable in the country. Okay, so that's what I have to say. That is the statement I have to say. If there's any other thing that you'd like to say from what I've already said, I'd welcome that.
Okay, so Mr. Ayodele, do you have a response to that?
Yes, I do. For going in first, I'll say that I appreciate your statements, but we need to be realistic here. We need to understand that the people are not in the government, even though the government is the people. The government is a subset of the people. That means the government was gotten from part of the people. So it's still the people that is the government. But what makes them different is they understand what is going on in the in-house, at the back room of where the operations happen. There is no way you'll be an ESCO of an organization and you leave the decision to the ordinary member. The ordinary member is a member, yes, has a vote on topics. But when the member has voted in leaders, those leaders are made to know some things that the ordinary members does not know. That's why you see some people complaining that they have not seen some things, even though at the back home, the ESCOs, they know that, okay, our budget is not big enough to address all the problems of the organization. So we need to prioritize so that we can see, so it will be on a scale of preference. So when an ordinary member is not looking at some part of the problems of the group, I'm saying that, why have they not addressed this? I feel they should address this. Yes, they should address that, but the fund of the finances of the organization would not allow the ESCOs to put that problem on the scale of preference enough for it to have been done. So you cannot expect that what that member wants would be done, because the member has given the right to the ESCOs to lead, to see what is best and put the best things in front. That's the same thing as the politicians and those in charge of Nigeria. We have voted them in, so you need to trust them. You need to understand that this person you voted in is in the right position to think and to make decisions for you. If you cannot give me a position now and you're expecting me to come back to you and tell you, is this thing good enough for us to do? It's not done that way, because at the end of the day, you have given a mandate to them, and that mandate is for them to rule. They must rule how they deem fit for the tenure you have given them. So that is what I feel. I feel like, and for the fact that I said that everybody is corrupt and all that, yes, that is where the National Orientation Agency must take a strong. We need to first filter out the mind of the people in this country. Everybody has seen fraud as almost a normal thing. And once that is happening, it is very difficult to identify or to curb it, because it is seen as part of ways to make it in life. And once that happens, there is no way someone will steal here and there will be a whistleblower. The whistleblower understands that this person automatically becomes an opportunity for him to make it out of whatever situation he is. So you don't expect that member of the society to bring forth that person forward, understanding that person has attained the kind of power in the society which will not be curbed or questioned. So at the end of the day, the National Orientation Agency has a lot of work to do, because we first need to cleanse our mind so that we can reduce the standard of fraudulent activities and the acceptance in the society. Only then can we say that, okay, we can now say that a percentage of people in this society at least can be given the benefit of the doubt to lead. And once we give them the mantle to lead, we must trust them to lead and take the right decisions for us. Thank you very much.
All right. So thank you very much. And so I think this was an awesome debate. And what we have left is for the viewers and the commenters to decide who takes the crown. Okay, so we have a ranking system over here at YKG Contest, and we have a rank that goes up to the highest rank, where there's actually a prize on for attaining that rank without any losses. Okay, so I'm eager to see which of you the people would vote for. And thank you so much for being present. And of course, it would be wrong of me if I did not mention that this program is being sponsored by distresssales.net. And of course, we welcome more Nigerians and more people to come on board to have a chat and to have a chance to actually battle it out for a cash prize. As you know, this is a speed debate, and the cash prize has been set to 10,000 naira, and whoever is victorious amongst you two will actually get the cash prize. So thank you once again, and I don't know if you have any closing note for the audience. For the next 5 minutes, feel free to let them know how you feel. So how did you feel about today's debate, and what would you have to say?
Thank you very much. It was a very awesome one, and I really enjoyed myself. Nice meeting you, Miss. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Adele. And Miss Victory, you have anything to say?
I am really, really happy for this program. I was said, I love to hear people's opinions on various matters, themes and topics. So it was really an awesome one. Thank you so much for having you, Mr. Ayodele. Thank you so much for your opinions and the thoughts in the comments.
Okay, so thank you so much once again. And of course, you can always feel free to recompete. You're in the group. And of course, if you feel up to it, feel free to signal interest. And of course, we also have a weekly debate. And if you would like to partake, feel free to join the group and indicate your interest. So thank you once again. And this is Yasharala from Yashar Kids Garden. And we would see you once again. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.